going, YouTube, and welcome to another episode of Game Day Feast. So I want you to imagine that it's a Monday night, you just got home from work and you're exhausted, but the big game's coming on, the NFL season's back in play, and you need to come up with something quick because you got a few people coming over for the game. That's why tonight we're going to make a quick, fast, and easy New Orleans-style barbecue shrimp with cheddar waffles. So it's kind of a take on a Cajun dish along with a twist with a Southern American classic. And it's something that I rarely do. You're going to see me actually prepare a batter and do some sort of baking. So, quick and easy. Probably the easiest waffle batter you can put together. I have these nesting doll mixing cups, measuring cups. They're my wife's favorite. So I have this big mixing bowl here. We're going to take a 1 cup measuring cup. We're just going to level that off. And we're going to take 2 cups of the all-purpose flour. If you have self-rising flour, that's even better. Unfortunately, it's not something that I had on hand at the moment. So we're going to make our own in just a second. So we're going to get rid of the flour. We're going to hold on to that measuring cup for just a second. All self-rising flour is all-purpose flour and some baking powder. So we have 2 cups, and I'm going to add about 2 or 3 teaspoons of the baking powder. Going to add a sprinkle of some salt, probably a teaspoon. And then with that same measuring cup, we're going to add equal parts milk. So we're going to add the wet ingredients to the dry ingredients. This way we're going to be able to ensure that we have a better mixture and a better batter. So bear with me here. Good. And gonna need my whisk. I'll put that in the bowl. So we went with 2 cups of the flour. We're gonna add 2 cups of the milk, and then we'll see how the batter looks. If we think that it needs a little bit more liquid, then we will surely do that. I'm just gonna start giving this a whisk, and it should thicken up into not quite a paste, but we don't want it loose like a pancake batter. We need this to have a little bit of texture so that it puffs up nicely on the waffle iron. And you really want to make sure you get that whisk down into the edges of the bowl so we don't have any raw flour, which I do have, and we can see here that this is definitely thicker than I want it to be. So now we just kind of play the guessing game a little bit. I'm not a baker. My wife loves baking. I'm not really one for measuring, which is why I don't really tend to publish my recipes. And we're still just a tiny bit thick for what I want to see, so let's add another 2 or 3 tablespoons there. Get that incorporated. We're going to let this rest a little bit so that baking powder gets a chance to inflate. And now we're starting to see when we get this consistency, right, it's still nice and thick, but it's starting to kind of strip like strand-like right off of the whisk. That's right where we want to be. So we got a nice big mixing bowl of that. And then we have some cheddar cheese, right? I'm using a Mexican blend because it's what I have on hand, and we're going to add about a cup right out of the bag. And the cheese is going to be great because it's going to caramelize on the waffle iron and give a little bit of savoriness to that waffle. And notice that we're not adding any sugar. This isn't a breakfast waffle, but you could use the same exact recipe, but add in probably about, I don't know, 2 to 3 teaspoons of sugar, or you could add some syrup or some honey for the sugar as well. And that'll make a really nice breakfast waffle. So we're just going to whisk this cheese in. There we go. And then the last ingredient is going to be a little bit of Cajun seasoning. Since we're going with a New Orleans style shrimp dish, might as well give the waffle a little bit of savory New Orleans flair as well. And there we go. Perfect. We let that sit. So now we have to start taking a look at building this shrimp dish. And what we're going to want is a nice, heavy, shallow cast iron pan. You could use a Dutch oven if you wanted to. This is a Le Creuset pot from my mother-in-law. It's one of my favorite pots in the world. And we have to start taking a look at our mise en place, right? So all of our veggies and everything that we're going to need in order to bring this together. So if you remember from the Po' Boys, we have our Holy Trinity from New Orleans. We're going to start with a yellow onion, and we're going to take the skins off that. I'm risking peeling the onion on video. Can get really embarrassing. And just like we've done before, right, we're going to slice right on through. 1, 2, not through the back. And we're going to want these probably 1/4 inch dice, and then we turn our slices into dices. And then with that little root end there, take that down nice and fine. And what we're going to be doing is building this New Orleans barbecue sauce. It's not barbecue sauce like you think from classic American barbecue with the sugar and the tomato and things like that you find like on sticky ribs. This is actually a butter-based barbecue sauce. And you're going to see some recipes will call this barbecue shrimp. Others will call it barbecued shrimp. Both of them seem to be used interchangeably, but the original dish is actually called barbecue shrimp. And we'll talk about that in just a second. There we go. Cool. So, yeah, the original dish originated in New Orleans at a restaurant, as you can go figure, right? And basically what happened was a customer had come in and said, I had this dish in Chicago, and I want to see if you could recreate it. So he had come back from a business trip. And the chef at the place had decided, you know, I'll give it a try. He makes this dish, he adds some Cajun flair to it, makes it a little bit more New Orleans, serves it to the customer, and says, you know, was that as good? And the guy says, no, this was better. And the restaurant chef was so excited and so happy with the recipe, he put it on the menu in the 1950s, and it's still on the menu today, and it's on menus all over New Orleans. So, we have our onion. We're going to grab some celery that I've already washed. And we're going to take off the tops for the moment. I'm going to use these in a stock or something. We're not getting rid of those. We'll take these 2 stalks, and we're just going to slice these into about the same size as the onion. All right, good. So, basically, this is going to be a dish that you could easily serve to a large crowd. It does take a little bit of time, especially because this isn't like a shrimp boil where you're going to cook, you know, 3, 4, 5 pounds of shrimp all at once. We're going to go for 1 to 2 pounds. So we got our celery, and then lastly our bell pepper. I have a giant bell pepper I got from the market today. So, this might take a little bit of time. This is a great dish for a small gathering of friends. Or you're going to want to put in a little bit of time before the game if you have, you know, 6, 8, 10 buddies coming over. We're just going to take out that membrane from the pepper there. We're only going to use half of it. Perfect. Good. And we're going to slice and dice, again, about the same size as everything else. So what we'll end up doing is heating up this pan, and when I'm done slicing this part of the pepper, I think I'm going to actually start doing just that. Good. Let's get a little heat on there. We're going to go for a medium-high heat, and we'll add a little oil to that in just a second. Get some of those seeds out of there. And you could add other veggies here. I am going to add garlic. I think garlic's really important to the dish. But if you wanted to add some hot peppers, like a jalapeno or something, you definitely could. Cajun food tends to be spicy, and so does American Southern food, so that's going to work just brilliantly with everything that we're doing here with this semi-fusion. Although Cajun is a American food, I always look at it as something different than what we would consider classic Southern food. So here we go. Good, good. They got away from my grip just a little bit, but that's okay. Right. So with the barbecue sauce, it really is something that you can transform and make into something that's completely your own. You're going to find that that's true in a lot of Cajun cooking, especially if you're looking at recipes and at cookbooks. You're going to find a lot of very different looking recipes for the same dishes. And it's kind of, smiled upon that everybody puts their own signature on the dish. And that's the really cool thing about home cooking as well. Your mom's meatloaf never tastes like the next person's meatloaf. And Mom does it best. And I feel that way about my moms and my grandmas. They're very different though. But that's a different episode. So, we got the heat going. We're going to add a little bit of oil to the pot. Right. And then you guys bear with me. I'm going to grab some shrimp and we're going to get this going. Alright, so I grabbed my shrimp. I have them back here ready to go. I'm just going to knock out this garlic really quickly. Again, we're just going to give that a bit of a smash on the board. Take that peel right off. Without breaking the garlic, hopefully. Right. And we're going to mince this up, and then we're going to start cooking down these veggies into the base of what's going to become our barbecue sauce. This is a really important step with any sauce that you're making, or any chili or soup. A step that I've seen a lot of people skip and a lot of my friends skip. But when they come over and I cook, and they'll ask me sometimes, it's like, hey, it tastes really good. There's a lot of flavors. Mine doesn't always taste like this. Why is that? And really it comes down to cooking down your veggies before you get going and letting all those flavors get into the pan and become a really solid base for what you're doing. Really important in vegetarian cooking as well, if you're trying to do a meatless Monday or living a vegetarian or vegan lifestyle. It's all about getting that initial flavor base. So again, we're just cutting these into slices. I throw out the root end, and then we'll just chop this up. And that's not to say that I have my friends over and they, think, oh man, Brian, he's like such a good cook. I'm a home cook, I'm an English teacher who just really enjoys cooking. It's my hobby. It makes me happy. And I do a lot of reading about it, so I like to think that I might know a thing or two, otherwise the show is really self-indulgent. So we're going to grab some of the onion, the celery, and the bell pepper. I'm going to add it to the pan, and then make a determination of how much of this I actually want to use. Listen to that sizzle. Perfect. Good, we're going to add just a little bit more. We'll take a quick look at that pot in just a second. I got to get a spoon here. Give that a stir. We'll turn that heat down just a little bit. Let's give you guys a look at the action. So, here we are. We got them sizzling away in the pan. I didn't add the garlic yet. I want to give it a little bit of time to wake up. I think we could use a little bit more light. There we go. So I'm actually cooking this at night to kind of emulate how quickly we can pull this off on a weeknight after a day at work. Here's my shrimp. So these are large shrimp. They're 16 to 20s, meaning that they're 16 to 20 shrimp per pound. Right. So we want to have larger shrimp, and if you can get them with the shells still on. I'm not going to lie, I got these frozen. I don't live right near the shore, so any fresh fish that you are getting, there's a decent chance that it's already been frozen. Right. And they're shell on and deveined, so I don't have to worry about deveining them myself. Alright, so we've got this going. We can see that it's smoking. I'm preheating my waffle iron at the same time, because we're going to have to do a little bit of dancing. And I want to check this batter again. It did thicken back up, which can happen after it rests. So I am going to give it a little more splash of the milk. Okay, not too much, but we also added that cheese, so that can thicken that a bit too. Just give this a quick mix. Make sure that we incorporate the milk into the batter. There we go. And you could do this in a mixing bowl if you wanted to, or you could get the electronic hand blender. There's just something about using a hand whisk that I really like, and I can feel the tension of the batter and see if it's getting too loose, not just by eye, but also by how much effort I have to put into the whisk. Maybe I'm old school that way. Okay, so I've got this stuff in the pan, and now I'm thinking I probably used about half of what I had cut up. It's starting to soften up. So we're going to add in the garlic, the 2 cloves of garlic. And once you do this, you are committed. There is no stopping. So we're going to take the garlic here and we're going to start mixing that around. We need to get just a little bit of color on it. But if we get too much color, it's going to burn real quick and then we're going to have a problem. So, we got that going good. The key to New Orleans barbecue sauce is butter. We are going to use so much butter that you are not going to feel healthy while you are doing it. But I guarantee you, when you portion this out for all of the people that's going to be eating it, it's still going to be unhealthy. But that is okay. So let's give this a stir, right? Do not burn that garlic. And get that butter melting. We're going to add even more than that 1 stick of butter, believe it or not. But we need it for a lot of shrimp, so we have to keep that in mind. This is game day eating, not diet day eating. So there's going to be butter, there's going to be flavor, there's going to be these things that feel indulgent. And that's perfectly okay every once in a while. You can tell by looking at me, I'm a man that likes to eat. Doing my best to watch what I'm eating, especially as the school year is starting. If you guys follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm an English teacher in New Jersey. We just went back to school teaching in person. So things have been a little bit stressful trying to do that during coronavirus times. But we do it because we love our jobs, we love our kids. I do it proudly but cautiously. But the healthier I can be, the better it is for me right now. But tonight, it's okay. We're having barbecued shrimp. 1 more stick of butter, and then we have to make that determination. Do I have enough barbecue sauce for what I'm doing? So I need my hand rag. Here we go. Get a little bit of that butter off my hands. I try to let it come to room temperature, 20, 30 minutes maybe. I don't want it soft, because I want to let those veggies cook in it just a little bit. But now we have to finish the barbecue sauce off. So we have the pepper, we have the onion, we have the celery, and we have that garlic, the butter. Now we go back to that Cajun seasoning. Right. So we're going to add that in probably about 1 tablespoon to 2 tablespoons. We want it to change color so it's not a yellow butter. And then an ingredient that I'm pretty sure nobody in this world knows how to pronounce. Worcestershire sauce. That's how I pronounce it. So, we're going to add probably 1 tablespoon or 2 of it. We want to give it a little bit of a darker color. Maybe 15, 20 shakes if it's got the small top in there, right? Leah Perrins is the go-to if you want. I tend to try to shop local, from local companies when possible. Ooh, and the acidity that just came off of the Worcestershire sauce really hits you in the nose perfectly. So let's give you guys a look at what we've got going here. Right? So here is the color of our butter at this point. You can see we haven't loaded the pan too heavy with our veggies, and we're just going to let this simmer for about 30 seconds. We're not going to touch it, simply because we want to let that cook for a second. We've got our shrimp ready to go, but now it's time for us to get to some of the waffles, and it looks like my iron is preheated. So here we go. we have our cooking spray, non-stick cooking spray. Give her a spray. We're going to take a quick field trip to grab my ladle. And, alright. We've ladled up some batter. We've non-sticked our waffle iron. And we're going to want just a little bit more than that ladleful. This might be a little thick, but I'd rather too thick than too thin. We want a nice plump waffle when we are done. Spread this out toward the edges a little bit, right? And we want it to cover a decent amount of the pan. Gonna add just a little bit more in this one corner. And there. Great. Close the iron. Don't touch it. Don't press on it. Don't do anything. It's perfect. Wait till that light goes out or your waffle iron does whatever your waffle iron does. Then you're going to have perfect waffles. So this is going. Over here, we see this is at a nice roaring simmer. Perfect. Give that a stir. Now we have to hit it with some acidity. It's all about the lemon. So here we go. Nice fresh lemon, rinsed it earlier. Roll it out, press, break up all the little juice bubbles that we've got inside there. I'm sure they have a better name than juice bubbles, but I'm trying to prove that this is fast. Boom. Okay, we're gonna take the ends off, cut it in half. One of Guy Fieri's favorite kitchen tools, the lemon press. We're gonna take this, we're gonna put an entire lemon in here. Here we go. Get all of that juice. Squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. The lemon half goes in. You're going to get that zesty flavor. Again. Give it a big squeeze. The half goes in. At this point, we have to make the determination, do I have enough sauce for my shrimp? I think the answer is yes. Right? Waffle's still going. We're going to take our shrimp. I'll use my bare hands. We're going to lay them into the pan, clockwise, starting at noon. Make our way around. We're going to want to flip these things, but we want to flip them in the order we put them in, so that we're not flipping over the one that we put in last, flipping it first, because then clearly it didn't cook as long as all the other ones, and we want even cooking time. So, making our way around the pan. Boom, boom. And I'm trying to go with 12 shrimp for this first round, and I will show you a picture of that in just a second, but I have to wash my hands real quick. Be right back. Alright, we're back. So you can see how these are organized in the pan. You can see the tails are already starting to turn a little bit pink. The reason we want to have these shells on, I didn't really explain this earlier, is that the shells are now catching all of this sauce and they're pulling it into the shrimp and they're keeping it there, and it's going to let it become a slow cook. So we turn this first one over, we can see still a little bit gray. It didn't really turn the color we want, so they're not quite ready to flip yet. We're going to give them 90 seconds to 2 minutes per side to cook all the way through. I'm going to turn that heat back up a little bit, close to medium-high. So, we've got those lemons going, this flavor's cooking in. We take a look, the waffle's steaming nicely. Again, we don't touch that waffle until that light goes off and tells us it's done. But I have a plate here ready to catch them all. Catch the waffles once they come off. This waffle iron makes nice 4 waffles, so it's perfect. So while we're waiting, right, I thought that really what I wanted to do this week, again, is cook that quick meal. And by doing so, it's to show that entertaining really isn't have to be a difficult thing or a stressful thing. It should be a lot of fun, and it's something you can do while you're talking with your friends, like I'm talking to all of you right now. So we're going to check that first shrimp again. There we go. Let's give you a quick look there. Right, so you can see that's that color that we're looking for, that nice orangey pink. And we're going to make our way right around the pot. Good, trying to do this one-handed. You could totally do this with tongs. If I had the forethought, I would have done that. Flipping them over. Also trying to make sure the camera kind of stays on what I'm doing. And you see how simple this is. Just quick flip right around, and now we're going to go in to the center of the circle. You want to keep an eye on the ones in the middle too, because they're at the center of the heat in the pan, so they might actually cook a little faster than the ones on the outside, but looks like we're doing well. Boom! Okay, perfectly flipped shrimp. Another 90 seconds or so, we're going to pull those out. I just heard my waffle iron go off. Alright, and that happens sometimes. So we're just going to pop that down. Beautiful looking waffles. No nerves in my fingers like we've talked before from all the bagel baking. So we're going to plate these up momentarily. Going to give the waffle iron a rest because we're really just going to try to make one portion here. Right, so I'm going to pull these shrimp out in just a second. We're going to set up 2 different platings for these waffles. And then we're going to have a wonderful Cajun-inspired southern shrimp and waffle dish. Alright YouTube, it's time to plate up. So I've got my shrimp here, all 12 of them. So they're resting just for about a minute, just to cool down a tiny bit. We're going to do 2 different platings. One of them a fancier looking presentation if you were having people over that you really care about and you want to make it look like you gave it a little bit of effort. Or the way that I serve my friends and family. Good food that looks as good as I feel like making it because it's Monday night. So, we have our waffle. And it's divided into 4 sections. Ooh, a little bit of cheese that's dripping there. So we're going to break this up. You could do it with the knife if you want to. I'm cooking for myself right now, so I'm not too picky. All right. And we're going to do first the simple presentation. Take 2 of our waffles, right? We're going to put them in the center of the plate. Then we're going to grab 6 of these shrimp. Just lay them on top. 4, 5, and 6. And then we're going to take those other 6 and we're going to put them into the nicer looking bowl. Right. But we're going to take them and we're going to take the 2 shrimp, we're going to intertwine them so that they end up standing up in the bowl a little bit. Right, gives it a little bit of a fancier presentation. 4 and 6. And with the waffles for these guys, we're going to take the waffle, cut it into triangles, almost like toast squares, and we're going to stand those up like so. And then we do the best part of all of this. We're going to grab a spoon. We're going to get some of this sauce, the barbecue sauce, right? And it's time to drizzle this all over, right? Keeping in mind it is mostly butter, so you don't want to go too crazy, but it is really nice with waffles as well if you put butter on your waffles. Same thing with the nicer presentation. Make sure you get some of those veggies on there as well. Get some of that sauce on the waffles. Good. Okay. We're going to grab another lemon. Give it a roll. Ends off. Slice in half. And cut into thin wedges. Going to take one of those wedges, hit our dish with a little acidity at the end, into your hand in case any seeds fall out like one just did. Clean our hands. There's a little bit of sauce left on the plate here from where the shrimp were resting. There we go. And then if you have some parsley or something, you can hit it with that at the end. I'm going to hit it with a little bit of Cajun Sunshine hot sauce. And for the fancier presentation, if you want to, you can peel these first. But barbecue shrimp's supposed to be something you dig your hands in. They, a peel and eat shrimp. And then lastly, we're going to hit it with a little bit of fresh cracked black pepper, which I just picked up today and finally have as much as I keep talking about it. So here we go. And let's take a look at these final presentations. So for the fancier one, I'd probably want about 8 or 10 shrimp to help them stand up a little bit more. But then with the more rustic presentation, it's just shrimp over waffles on a plate. So the only thing left for us to do now is give it a taste. Alright, like I said, this is a finger dish. It's finger licking. We're going to pick and eat. So we just peel those shells right off the side of the shrimp, pinch the tail, pull the whole shrimp out. I'm going to grab a piece of that waffle. You could use a fork and knife. I'm impatient. Oh man. So if you've ever had a crab boil or a shrimp boil, right, you get that Cajun seasoning, and there's the butteriness that's coming through that, like you would dip the shrimp or the crab in the butter. The cheddar in the waffle gives it a bit of that saltiness, but then the actual waffle itself is like that nice French bread that you would dip in to the juices, but this has soaked up all of that sauce, and it's everything that you could really want in a Southern Cajun dish. And I can't help it. I have to eat more. So thank you guys for watching. If you haven't done so already, please subscribe to my YouTube channel, like the video, follow me on Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. Sorry, it's that good. I'm not kidding. Right? And just know that no matter how much time you have, there's always time for another game day feast.